Opera App Awards 2012, Newshunt has been chosen as top entertainment app in Java and Symbian app. Android App Expo won second place for best app at Google Development App Expo 2013. Nielsen top 10 mobile consumed in India, only one in news category. India Digital Awards 2012, top mobile app News Hunt. Navtech Global LBS Challenges 2011, grand prize winner. NASCOM Emerge App Fame 2011, top 7 mobile apps. Mobile India winner, Mobile India Entrepreneur Demo Showcase 2010. Best mobile app, AppJam Bangalore 2010. Mr. Gupta holds a master's degree in management from IIT Mumbai and enjoys brainstorming with his team and is always on the look out for new ideas that will transform and further strengthen the bridge between technology and common man. He completed bachelor's degree in engineering in 1993 from MBM Engineering College, Jodhpur. He loves his junk food and chai, and it's not uncommon to see him catching up with his team with his favorite phrase, "क्यों भाई और क्या चल रहा है?" So now I request Dr. Rahul Raj Chaudhary sir to kindly please welcome Mr. Virendra Kumar. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pushpendra. Am I audible? So it's really a great occasion to welcome my friend Viru to this session. I have heard Professor B. Ravi from IIT Bombay. He had a line that you sit for a cup of tea and you can have hundreds of ideas. And I think Viru proves that. He sits for a cup of tea and come out with a number of ideas. So yesterday we had discussion more focused on conceptual understanding about product and product development by senior professors. So there was a good understanding given by those professors from Professor A.K. Sharma from IIT Bombay, IIT Roorkee, Professor Rajendra Karwa. He is Master of Design from MBM Engineering College, Bikaner, Jodhpur. So today we will be shifting towards a different viewpoint, that is towards industrial view. This is very important that product should be addressing some industrial or domestic problem. Then only the product will be usable and will have the market. For that, we have to come out of labs, interact with problems, social problem, industrial problem, and then only we can have the understanding about the product which we are going to develop in our labs or in our whatever that research facilities. So we have Virendra with us, and I welcome to be again in college after such a long time. At least we are now again in that college, and we would be definitely looking for some cup of tea whenever we had the chance. So I hand over to Virendra, please.
Thank you, Rahul, and it's a great honor and pleasure to be here in front of all of you. By the way, I'll start with a light note of humor that I never imagined Rahul will be a professor, and Rahul never imagined I'll be an entrepreneur. So in fact, we thought our roles would be reversed when we were in the college. So and I think that's the theme of my discussion here. I think you guys, along with AICTE, have organized very good lectures which can give you a great knowledge of conceptual, process of product development, and so on and so forth. I'm going to talk totally opposite of it. Okay, and please bear with me, but I'm sure you will find merit in what I'm saying. And I have no slides, by the way, because I'm talking to professors and teachers. I cannot preach to the choir. I can just share my experiences. So and I want to make it very, very interactive, Rahul. So if there are questions in between, I would love to take the questions and answer them, because the curiosity and the old way of how we were taught needs to change. And that's the first step. In building a product is to ignite your curiosity and not curb it. So very, very thrilled to be here. And Rahul, I will definitely come down to your college and have a cup of chai at some 30 if you have 30 in your college. So okay, so guys, I think my introduction was given to you. I'm Virendra Gupta. I'm the founder of this company called Versa Innovation, which which is serving the local language users, the Bharat users in the country. Uh, my experiences in life have been shaped by a lot of where I worked, and a lot of what I've seen in my life while I was working, and that has led to where I am today, right? So it was not about what I, of course, a lot of things what I read, a lot of things which I studied came into being, but it was the experiences and the real life experiences which led to me landing up in a position where I am. I mean, typically I was raised in a world where 486, the computer meant 386 and 486, right? Somebody who's creating a product means the guy has to be a topper, and he has to be a very R&D mindset to build a product, right? And building a product was supposed to be considered a very elitist job, and it could not be done by a normal person, right? And I think the way world has moved, by the way, and the way world was, I mean, if you look back in our history and mythology, uh, nobody taught somebody how to do farming, nobody taught somebody how to do trading, nobody taught somebody how to recite shlokas. They all came naturally in people's life, and because they were exposed to all those things, right? So I think that's what is happening to the product development. The first thing about any product development is that product development is not the right of anybody. It is not right of a Stanford guy. It is not right of a person who speaks good English. It's not right of a person who's an IIT. It's not right of a person who has an R&D mindset. In my mind, a product can be developed by any human being. And I think that's the first thing we should acknowledge. If we cannot acknowledge that anybody can make a product, then we are defeating this whole purpose of innovation in the world. And the reason is because any product which you develop has to solve a problem. And I think Rahul articulated it very nicely in the beginning that a product has to solve a real life problem. Now, people who have not experienced a real life problem will never be able to make a product which is commercially viable, right? And unless and until you, and who can experience a real life problem? Somebody who could not find a cab, can experience a real life problem. Somebody who needed food at the time when somebody was ill in his house can solve a real life problem. Somebody who's working in a chip factory and he's seeing that the speed of chip is low, can find a real life problem, right? So, and if you look back in the history, a lot of innovations has been driven by humans' ambition to do something bigger. Ship was invented like this, aeroplane was invented like this. So I think the first thing we have to break the myth is that innovation is a right of some elite person, and innovation is a right of some people in the West, or innovation is the right of some people in China. I think that's the first thing we need to break. And if we can't break that myth, we will never innovate. We will be just copying what others are doing and learning, 20 years behind what others are doing. So that's the first thing. And I would please urge all of you to tell your students to be bold, to be, to be okay to take failures, but think of real life problems and then build products around that. So that's the first thing I would say. And that's the human element of product development and innovation. So the first thing is a person who is aspirational, a person who is curious, a person who has real life experiences. And to get real life experiences, you got to go out and have real life experiences. If you are not playing with the gadgets, if you're not playing with what's happening in the world, if you're not discovering and exploring the world, you will not make products which matter to humans or to real life people. So that's the first thing. Have a curious mindset, be an explorer. So that's the first thing I would say in any product development. And I will come to the theoretical part of product development later on. The second thing is, the product development cannot be done by a person who is fearful of failures. Okay. Typically, as students, we optimize for, becoming first in the class, and, and we are always focused on that. And that's a great thing, I would say, right? But I think what I have seen in my life is people who have got setbacks, which have got whose careers are sinusoidals, right? I mean, it goes up and goes down. People who have experienced joy and people who have experienced failures, they tend to be more empathetic and more empathic for building a great product, because they're able to connect emotions in the product development. So that's second thing. I think just being wide, having your canvas wide, being able to relate to human emotions, being able to see, typically, why would an aeroplane get invented? Because somebody was curious that a bird can fly, right? Why would a machine talk back to you? Because somebody was curious that, I have so many users' data, which is telling me what users are searching for, and these are the possible answers. So if Rahul or Viru ask a certain question, it's most probable the answer is going to be like this. So it's a lot of curiosity which leads to people building something out. So I would say, having a wide variety of experience, being curious, right, and not being fearful of failures, I would say that's the second trait which goes into building a product. Okay, I'll just take a small 1-minute pause and check. Am I making sense, or it's totally I'm talking nonsense? So anybody can just tell me whether this is making sense or not.
Yeah, definitely, it's very.
Okay.
Because
the mute, but okay. So I'll continue because I can take this 1 hour into many directions, but I'd like to focus on directions where I can contribute back to the university and students, because I think that's why our country will become a country of building great products. So look, first thing I said was curiosity. Second thing I said is don't be scared of failures in life. And I think as teachers and professors, you got to encourage people to not be scared of failures, but you should reward them to be able to take risks. So please tell a person who is thinking crazy. Please tell a person who is thinking crazy. Please reward a person who is saying that I'm going to think of an innovative idea, of drilling oil in Bikaner. I'm just taking some random examples, right? Please reward. Let people be a little bit crazy, right? And I think we need to give leeway to people to be crazy. In Rajasthan, we would say Bawla ho gaya, but boss, I think all great innovations are done by Bawlas. So it's time our country rewards people who are Bawlas and people who are crazy, because you cannot get an exponential outcome if your input is incremental and if you're doing things the same way you have been doing for ages. So if you want an exponential outcome, you got to induce and you got to reward, hatke thinking, if I may use that word for lack of anything else. Okay, so we covered curiosity, we covered failures. My third request is, as professors and as teachers, please reward risk taking among your kids, among your students. It's very, very important, right? So that's the third thing I would say. The fourth thing is a product development, a guy who creates product. There's a concept of singularity. Okay, and singularity is like a love. And I'll explain this in a very simple words, that when you love somebody, you can just see that. You can only see that person, correct? You don't see anything around you. Now, when somebody is obsessed for solving a problem or creating a product, the way to judge that person's intensity and is to see that he has a singular focus on solving that problem. He has to be obsessed with that problem. So you cannot expect that, hey, you got to get 100 out of 100 in electronics communication, in computer science, in English, in maths, in sports, and you are a great student. Hey, but you got to create something out of the world, right? So you would see students or people making choices, and they will say, I'm obsessed with this problem, and I'm going to work on this solution. So I think you will see a compulsive obsession among those people who are creating products. I would say that's the fourth thing. I'll keep on repeating what I've spoken about. First was curiosity. Second was appetite for failure. Third was bit crazy. Fourth was being obsessed, right? So these, in my mind, these are some traits which I've seen in people who create something, which is extraordinary. Now this sounds very fancy, very Bollywoodish, but let's see how life has changed since we were students, Rahul, and since now, okay, given this framework. Uh, I think that today, when I'm interviewing people, if somebody says I've dropped out of college to build a product, I won't mind it. Okay. If there was a person who would come and say, hey, I did a startup, but it failed, I won't mind. In fact, I would hire that person. So in generally, the industry is more receptive to people who have tried, and it doesn't matter whether you've been successful or you've been a failure. So in general, the industry is more receptive about such things. The second key thing, and that's the biggest thing I would say which has changed in the world, your cost of product development and your time cycle of product development has become literally zero. The software has changed the world, and the software and the intersection of hardware has changed the world. There is so much open source available. There is so much toolkits available that a person who wants to do something can do it at very low cost and in very low time. And that was not available during our time. I mean, look, and somebody said I passed out in 93, 94. That's right. Those days you had to go to US to be able to create something which is very, very, transformational or very, very big. So I would say today, creating a product development or creating a product is like speaking English or like speaking Hindi. I think everybody can create a product if anyone wishes to create a product. So, so don't call product development like there's some priest of an evolved temple can do this. I think your children, your brothers, your sisters, all of us can do product development. The software, the hardware, the knowledge about some code or AI/ML or some market is available over internet. I think we all can create beautiful products. If we have guts and if we have perseverance to create product, we all can create products. So I think that has changed, and that's a big, big thing, by the way. And in my mind, there should be courses which tell people that you only got to create products in these courses. Don't give me theory. Pick an idea and just build a prototype around it, right? And it can be anything. But just doing things with the hand and not just being theoretical would change the mindset of students a lot, and that goes a long way into creating great products in future. So that's the second thing I would say. The third thing I would say is the capital available to pursue an idea is abundant. Today in Rajasthan, you have a Marwadi Catalyst, angel investing company, right? So people are dying to fund great people, great students, great ideas, and people who are maverick, people who are obsessed, people who are crazy, people who can build product, people who can show that they're not talking on slides, but they have built a prototype which they can show. There's a lot of capital chasing and backing people who have ideas to take a product, to a different level. So that's the third thing which is happening. The fourth biggest thing which is happening is, and that's very important in any product development and in the point which Rahul said, that it has to connect to real world. The propensity of users to pay for a product has gone up. In good old days, we would buy clothes twice in a year, on a Diwali or or a Diwali or some other festival. Today, people are shopping while sitting in their car, going to offices. People are shopping for parties. People are having different shoes for gym. People are having different gadgets. People are, different education models are coming. So I'm seeing that the consumer is paying for products, right? Which means that there are viable business models which are coming for cutthroat products. Okay, so which means that there is a market, that if you create a product, there's a market out there which will use your product and which will pay. You need not educate somebody about that. Hey, you know, you need not beg somebody to pay for your product. If your product is good, people will pay for it. So what did we cover, in the second part of the discussion? What we covered in the second part of discussion was that there is a lot of capital available for creating good products. Second thing is that the tools available to create product, both software, hardware, knowledge, is abundant and is at very low cost. So your time cycles for creating a product and the cost of creating a product is very, very low. In fact, the cost of procrastination and cost of sitting on an idea and deliberating and discussing for months is more costly than creating a product and putting it in market and figuring out whether it works or not. And I think that has changed the world a lot. So the velocity of your creation of product development is very, very key. So this was the second point we say. And the third point we say is that people who are in this era, they are very fortunate because the market is ready to experiment on new products, new ideas. So you don't have to go and educate market too much. They'll be happy to pay for your products. So that was the second part about, in first part, we spoke about the character of people who create product, how you guys as teachers and professors and mentors can help that. In the second part, I covered how the ecosystem and the universe is coming together to support creation of this product development, which has become very, very easy. So these are the two parts we covered so far. I'll pause. I can take 5-minute quick questions, then I'll cover, two more parts around the same topic. And if there are no questions, no worries. I'll just cover the next two parts as well. Okay, so now let's go to the third part, is the process of a product development. And I think you would have heard it, as Rahul said yesterday, and there are two more esteemed professors who are going to talk about this post my lecture or my interaction. In my mind, I'm not going to give you a big thesis around the process of product development. I'm just going to talk about a very simple process of how I see the product development happens. A product development happens with an idea, and the starting of that idea can be anything. The starting of an idea could be a market opportunity. Okay, and the market opportunity could be, I don't get access to good medical facilities in Bikaner. I'm taking an example. Just take an example, right? I don't have, I am working in a chip manufacturing company. The circuits are very large. How do I minimize the circuits? I travel across the world and I see there are no budget hotels to serve people like me. I want to learn how to speak English. I want to learn how to do coding. My parents, I stay away from my parents. I need somebody to solve the health needs of my parents when I'm away from them. The car today costs 10 lakh rupees. I see no reason why a car should cost 10 lakh rupees. How can I reduce the cost of car to 2 or 3 lakhs? how can I get access to great mentors across the world for my idea? Now, I've just thrown 10, 15 ideas on you guys, right? And now each of them is a problem. And the problem can come from either a market opportunity or it can come from a personal experience, right? And to get and for both market opportunity and personal experience, I'll come back to the first point. You have to be an explorer. You have to discover. You have to get out of your own domain and you have to read, you have to follow people, you got to have personal experiences, you got to draw inspiration from the world. So you got to connect with the world. I think that's my moot point for generation of an idea, and that's what somebody put on the chat group, how to generate an idea. So you got to be connected to the world to generate an idea. By the way, product development को पहले बोला जाता था कि product development is like a scientist, is the work of a scientist, कि नासा बनाएगा, IISc बनाएगा, IIT बनाएगा. With the tools available, product development has become like a baniya, and I'm not using it in derogatory word, I'm myself a baniya, which means it is common sense. It is not, the basic tools are there, and if you apply common sense to a problem, you can just marry and create a great product. So in the first part, the starting of any product development is idea. You need to think of an idea. I will give you a simple example of what my daughter did. She's in 12th standard, and I'm just quoting that because, I believe that the product development doesn't require huge amount of fanfare. So she built a website called Grid Parity. She's very vocal about women rights and parity of, girls and boys in society. So she went around so she heads up a group in a school which was about promoting STEM, which is science and technology, in government schools in Bangalore and in lower end schools in Bangalore. So when she went around in the schools and when she spoke to the girls there and the boys there, the girls used to see themselves as becoming characters which were depicted in their textbook. So let me give an example. When you're in school, your textbook will say, he is a police commissioner. The textbook will never say she is a police commissioner. The textbook will say she is a nurse. The textbook will never say he is a nurse. The textbook will say she manages the house. The textbook will never say the man manages the house. Now, and I can go on and on. Now, while going through this, she realized that why are girls only talking about characters which are depicted in the textbook, and why can't they think beyond it? Why are the girls not able to think that I can become a police commissioner, I can go into the army, I can be a scientist? They're not thinking because the teachers are teaching what is in the textbook. So she has made a tool where she has used some AI and ML, and you can upload your book in a PDF, and she can tell that the gender bias of the textbook. And when she uploaded Karnataka state textbooks on that site, 80% of textbooks are gender biased. Now, it was a small idea which came by doing some community work, and now she's used tech to kind of prototype it, and now she's working with the government to say that your books should be gender neutral, because you cannot have upliftment of women if at such young age you are forcing them to think of their life as the characters in the book. So I'm just, and she didn't require anything. So I'm saying the product development doesn't require anything today, right? You cannot say that in Bikaner you have less tools available than in Stanford. I fail to believe that. You got internet bandwidth, you have got a PC, you can do anything. Of course, you might not have access to some great, in-person professors or some high-end computing power, but you can always graduate there if your product works well. So what I'm saying is, it starts with idea and starts with a passion, and then the next steps start. Okay. So first thing is idea and passion. Idea and passion can come from market opportunity or personal experience. The second thing, which is very, very key again, is, and this is what we used to do when we were in engineering college, and Rahul will understand and appreciate this. We would sit on a 30 and mudda and talk for months and months and not do anything. Right? So again, a lot of people have a lot of ideas, but who is the person who is going and building that idea? Who is the person who's spending and doing midnight oil and figuring it out and is obsessed on implementing that idea? And to my mind, if you see having idea is a big thing, in my mind, having idea is not a big thing. वो बोलते हैं ना कि सपने तो बहुत लोगों को आते हैं, करता कौन है? So the second part of going ahead and having conviction and being obsessed and building that idea into reality is the big, big piece. Now, you need not perfect that idea. You need not perfect the prototype. And by the way, you need not know everything about building that prototype. But a person who can arrange, here, I don't know this, I'm going to take help from my friend. I don't know this part of coding. I don't know how the marketing operates. On hardware, I don't know how it operates, but I will go and learn about it. So if you have a free mind, and if you're able to gather a set of people, or inspire a set of people, I would say, inspiration is very, very important. Then, and by the way, doing that itself is a big part of product development in reality. And no textbook will teach you this. So being either you are a Larry Page or a Steve Jobs, crazy guys who can do everything themselves. Mark Zuckerberg, in fact, Mark also stole idea, of his co-founder. But if you are able to gather smart people, and if you know that my idea requires people who are ideas require people beyond me, because I can't know everything, that's the second big piece. So, you have heard of this concept of pizza teams, which means, have a 3-4 member, team in a project, who can feed off one pizza. So having a 3-4 member team with complementary skills, driven by same passion, and inspiration, will get your idea to some kind of, reality. So that's the second thing. And when you are building your idea to a prototype, don't try to make it perfect. Just get the damn product out. Okay. The third thing is, please go and then put this idea in the market and do alpha testing, beta testing, right? Now, when you do that, you will get a lot of user feedback. Please hear that feedback. Please hear the customer reviews. Please go and meet customers and refine your product. And your refinement of product has to be very, very fast again. So you've got to be very agile. So once now you iterate this cycle over and over again, right? And as your business starts growing big, and as you start seeing more and more traction, create scalable architectures. No need to create a scalable architecture day one. Okay, scale can come. Scale is a very simple problem to solve. The biggest problem to solve is a product and market fit, which means what your idea is and what you have created. Do users want that or not? So once you do that, rest everything can happen. A lot of people come and ask me, I want to create a product and I want to create a company. How do I open a company? So opening up a company is the least of your problem. You can pay CA 10,000 rupees and he will open your company. It's as simple as that. But creating a great product which fulfills the need of a customer or a user is the biggest thing. So broadly, what I'm saying is, there's an idea which comes from inspiration. The inspiration can come from market or from your self-experience. You should have ability to translate that idea into a prototype very fast. Then you should go and launch that prototype into the market. You should be open-minded to see what customers are telling you about it. You should very fast iterate that product development into a new release or a new hardware, go back in the market, keep an eye on competition, what competition is doing, be ahead in the features, be obsessed with it, and keep iterating and iterating, and someday you will get it right. Right? And if you see, none of the successful companies today in the world got it right first time. a lot of entrepreneurs have struggled over years and then hit the jackpot. So it's a very, very iterative process. It is not a, it's not that you do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, and you will achieve success. So I'll pause here and basically summarizing again what I covered. First I covered was about, the characters of a product development person, and what can inspire him. Second thing is how ecosystem in the world today has changed, which is supporting a lot of innovation and product development. And the third piece, what I covered was a very simple view, and that is the real view. Rest everything is a lot of theory around it, but it will boil down to this 4-5 simple things, which is what is the process of product development and taking it to market, and then circling back to continuously refine it so that you have a differentiated product which can win in the market. I'll pause here and I'm happy to take questions and cover any more aspects of product development which you guys want me to cover.
Yeah, Virendra is having a question.
Yeah.
In text box, I can see that how to be courageous for doing startup.
Yeah, that's a very good question. And that's a super question, right?
Super.
It's a very good question. And I think, in my mind, doing a startup, so let me first tell you let me first tell you the answer which is intense, and then let me tell you the answer which is manageable. Okay. You got to be obsessed, and you got to say that I cannot do anything else. I mean, that's the right answer. Because I'll tell you why. Because startup will, the kind of things which you will go in startup is like you are fighting a war at Ladakh border every day. And I'll repeat it. Doing a startup is like fighting a war every day. Even a best of or fittest of a general or a soldier cannot fight a war for every day. Right? So you got to be ready for a startup. And by the way, nobody is ready for startup. Startup makes you ready. Right? So you have to flow in the water. So you got to be ready for that. So that's one. Second thing is it's always good to look at your situation in life to do it. And that's the less intense answer, which means, I mean, typically, when I did startup, I made sure that I had, people who were my peers were living in big houses. They were driving big cars. I was living in a small house. I was driving a small car. I had no EMI. My wife and my family supported me a lot during those days. My landlord made sure he didn't take any rent from me for 6 months. So, you got to make sure that you should not go mad, cutting expenses where your kids don't go to school and all that stuff. I think that's very, very bad. But you got to figure out your max of your house, because startup will start paying you back in some years. It doesn't start paying you immediately, right? So that's the second answer. The third answer is a lot of people do something called moonlighting. And in moonlighting is where you keep doing your job or what you're doing, and in your free time, or you work extra to kind of build or seed some ideas. And when that idea takes some shape, you kind of leave your full-time job and start doing it. So these are three typical areas which how people manage or get courage to move from their daily paying job to being a startup. The fourth thing which is happening is in a lot of academic institutions, which I've seen in world over, and this was very good. This was done very well in IIT at least. That the institutions allow people 20% of time to invest into such projects, and I think that's a big thing which maybe a college can do for you guys as well. Does it make sense?
Yeah, Virendra, how do you feel about it? Okay.
Thank you. Okay, I'll go to the next question. Right?
Yeah. This next question is how to generate that idea. Himanshu Rawat is having this question.
Yeah. So so again, I mean, that's the $1 million question that, how to generate an idea. And the idea can only come if if you are connected with the world. Or if you've seen a problem of a society, as Rahul said, there's a problem in society, there's a problem in market, there's a problem in, in transportation, there's a problem in education. So you have to be curious mind. If you're not a curious mind, you will not get an idea. And you cannot tell that when will I get an idea. So honestly, the way I've got ideas is my ideas have come from me being in the journey, right? And in my mind, being in the journey generates a lot of ideas, and then you can filter those ideas and then figure out which one to do or which one not to do. So it's like if there is no instigation of brain, then you cannot think of an idea. So you got to instigate your brain.
Yeah. Himanshu, can you hear? Yeah, that's another question. This is what are the possible problems? Like if I go for a startup or some entrepreneurship, what the problems I may face?
So the biggest thing so I'm imagining that you have an idea, correct? I'm imagining who asked this question? What's the gentleman's name?
This is Sharanu, I think.
Okay. Yeah, Sharanu is Sharanu. Yeah. So I'm imagining that somebody has an idea about product development. Now, the biggest thing which you face once you get an idea is to get people and talent to build their product and capital. So once you have an idea, the second thing is, do I have relevant talent and do I have relevant capital to invest into building that idea? It's as simple as that, nothing else.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Virendra is asking one more question that
Sure.
I'm working as assistant professor. Is it possible to leave a job and just jumping for startup?
So I cannot answer that question for you, Virendra. I mean, if you have an idea, you should pursue. It also depends on a lot of things, and I mean, we should take this question offline. I can tell you that startup looks very sexy from outside, but there's a lot of pain which we entrepreneurs go through, and the success rate of startup is very, very low. But having said that, the way the world has changed from when me and Rahul were in college from now is, I mean, world is very, very forgiving, very, very acceptable to failures, and successes. So if you have a great idea and you think that you can manage your life for 24 months, go and do it.
Yeah, definitely, that courage has to be developed, and courage can be developed with experiences only.
Yeah.
And for the experiences, again, you need some courage.
Yes.
So, okay. So you can move ahead.
Yeah. So I see this very interesting question by Dr. Naveen Rathi, and it's super. Like my daughter is an asthmatic as well. So the second project which she was planning to do was to build something like this, right? And by the way, all the medicines which are prescribed by medical companies is all bullshit. They make you, I mean, you become a stooge of those medicines. And in my mind, if you have some great idea, great thing, right? I can help you connect with Marwadi Catalyst if you need capital. If something you want to bounce to me, I'm happy to, to listen and give you feedback. But by the way, asthma is one of the biggest evils of the world. And if somebody can create a solution for asthma which is healthy and low cost, I think it's super. It's super. Okay. Please let me know the role of doing an in-depth literature survey after getting an idea. No literature reading after coming up. So look, see, I think the Mr. Sanjog, the way world has changed. If you see, our attention span has reduced for everything, right? The world has moved to short form. World has moved to multimedia. So in my mind, people should do a study, but I would say they should not do in-depth study indefinitely. They should do a reasonable study and then go and build something out. Because, in my view, the time and the cost of building something out is very, very low nowadays. And the literature will, of course, literature is useful, but again, in a lot of startup ideas, you're challenging what exists as a norm. You're challenging the status quo. Now, when you challenge the status quo, I would say that you don't get discontinuity from literature. Of course, you learn, but you don't get discontinuity and discontinuous ideas from literature. So I would, I would say they should do study, but I would not kind of force them to go a lot of deep there. I mean, that's my humble submission, but again, what I'm saying might not be fully right, but that's my personal view. Then there's a question again from Mr. Himanshu Rawat. How to remove mind blocks? So I'll look at, I mean, it needs an example. If you don't remove mind blocks, your product will fail. I mean, it's a simple answer because our mind blocks prevent us to jump to the next level. And if you can't, a key thing about product is you're appealing to the emotion of another person, or you're appealing to the need of the other person. If your mind block doesn't let you connect to the emotion or to the need of the other person, then you cannot make a product which other person will use. That means you will fail. So in my mind, a product development is less of a science, but it's a lot of psychology which goes into play, and a lot of self-evolution which goes into play to be able to be sensitive to the needs of other people and then making a product. There is a question again from Mr. Virendra Kumar. So on the patent, I think there are websites. If you search on Google, and you can find some small lawyer. You pay him some fees, and he can do a finder. You can pay him a finder fee of couple of thousand rupees, and he can figure out whether that that idea is patentable or not, and whether somebody else has already done a patent on that or not.
Hello, good morning, sir.
Yes.
My question is in the process of product development and especially design thinking, the functionality and the idea is continuously, changing. So in that case, how we manage the copyrights or intellectual property?
So see, I'll tell you again, it is a very evolved question. I think the point when you have to manage your intellectual property or copyright, I think you should feel very happy. 99% of products or 99% of entrepreneurs or product creators have an issue that people don't even look at their product or ideas. Are you getting what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
Right? तो वो होता है ना कि मेरी तरफ कोई देख भी नहीं रहा, but that is a bigger problem. कोई मेरी तरफ देख ले और कोई मेरी तरफ ध्यान दे और मुझे कॉपी करे. I think that's the biggest joy for a product creator or an entrepreneur. So I'm saying first reach that stage and then think about it. Having said that, there are legal ways to solve for it. You could copyright your trademarks, you could do patents. the biggest thing which works in our field, especially of tech, is you're constantly adding new features and your velocity is so high that the person who is copying gets tired and say, hey, I can't compete with you. I can't run faster than you. You're running faster than me, I will die. So simple, again, simple things. First, let your product reach a point where people are copying you. To me, that's your first validation. You have arrived in life. Second thing is, having arrived in life, if people are copying you, they can copy what you have made. They can't copy your brain. So please keep on building features on the product so that you are giving more value to customers. And third thing is, there are ways in legal framework of copyright, patents, and so on and so forth to manage this.
Thank you, sir. It was very helpful. And I think that's the reason the Elon Musk opened his Tesla patents to everyone.
Yeah.
Just use it and build
Yeah.
a car. But he is working the best. No one can beat him.
Yeah.
So that's the
Somebody
thing.
will beat him. That's the nature of this
Yeah.
business.
Yes, sir.
Somebody will come and beat him. So again, never say that nobody will beat him.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But he is confident enough. That confidence should we
Yeah.
should possess that confidence.
Yes, yes. He was also a migrant. I mean, he had a troubled childhood.
Yes, sir.
So when he was growing up, nobody could predict he will be Elon Musk.
Exactly, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you,
No
sir, for your
worries.
valuable answer.
No worries, no worries. Any platform for finding out finance? I think there are a lot of angel investors. You can just search up. There is a lot of activity happening in Rajasthan around new product development, new ideas. So I mean, just search up Google. There are angel platforms. I think everything is available, and just write mails to them. People will respond to you. It's a very, very open market. Or you can do any, even in UP. I mean, anywhere. I mean, there are a lot of open platforms everywhere to do product development. Just search angel investments, in Lucknow, angel investment in UP, you will find something.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Many of the startup, many of the ideas are very, what you can say, crazy, no doubt. But they're not clickable, they're not success. The rate of startup success is very low.
Yes.
The basic reason that what I found that they cannot reach to the market or market cannot accept their product.
Yes.
So how we can bridge this gap?
See, you have to see one thing is your statement that it's a true statement that 99% of companies fail. That's a true statement. Second thing is, I think your question is that your product cannot reach the market. Is that your question?
No, that is also one of the reason that they cannot reach to the market, or even if the people know, oh, this is the product, but that is not acceptable.
See, if it is not accepted, then you are wrong. People can't be wrong. That's the rule of product development. If so, and that's a reality. Unfortunately, that's a reality, Dr. Momin. That if you have put the product in hands of a customer and he's not adopting it, then that product is not for the customer. You have to find another customer for it, or another segment of customer for it. So and this feedback loop has to be done very, very fast. Or you improve your product and take feedback from the customer and improve and give him a new version of the product which he will accept.
Okay.
Correct?
Another thing is that we have the product, but we cannot reach to the niche. That is also a
So if you have a product,
we have the product, but we cannot reach to the.
So again,
we cannot reach.
So if you have a product and you cannot reach, then a big part of your, and I spoke about creating complementary teams. Now let's say you have done a great product development. Now you cannot reach, which means you need somebody who can appoint distributors or dealers who can reach to customers. So that's a part of creating a product. So don't imagine that creating a product is only that I have built an instrument or I have built some code and that's enough. Creating a product development, you have to expand the horizon of product development, and you have to think, it's my job to find the right person who can take the product to the market. Got it, sir?
Yes. Correct. That is also part of the product development.
Yes, it is a part. It is a part. The product has to come out of labs and come to real life. And everything which needs to be done to take the product to the market, in my view, is product development.
Okay. Good. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
No worries. I've got 5-10 minutes more, Rahul. So I know it was till 11, but at 10:30 I have another meeting. So I'm happy to take this for next 15 minutes more questions.
Yeah. Any more questions? Like I want to add, Dr. Momin, that you talked about that failing of startup. So I want to just modify this statement that startups never fail. These are only the efforts which fail. Just like he wants to walk up, so first time he is not able to walk properly and fell down again and again. So these are the efforts only. Like we have learned about
methodology, you can say methodology or the way in which they are doing it. So that is startup. That is the actually the process that involved in their implementation. So startup, for example, they don't have the proper mechanism to the market. So that are the that has to be highlighted in the startup.
Yeah, I think Professor Rathi is having a question. Dr. Naveen Rathi, he's raising hand.
Okay. Yes.
Yes, Dr. Rathi.
He has written, sir. No. Okay.
Oh.
No, I mean, is there anything, Dr. Rathi, I can help you with?
Some innovative products in the market, like they are not copy of something, but they just set the trends.
No voice, sir.
You can't hear you, Dr. Rathi. Okay, he has put the query. I think he has an audio problem. It says that I've got a patent. Yeah.
Hello. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Good morning.
We see some innovative products which are not the copy, but they set the trends, like Facebook, even your Dailyhunt, and
Yes.
all these things. So how to think like an innovative person? What is the billionaire mindset?
Sir, so let's assume why, let's deep down. Do you know why Mark Zuckerberg created Facebook? Do you know how he created? You must have read that story,
No,
right?
sir.
So the girls of his college ditched him.
Yes.
And he wanted to shame them by putting some of the pictures of them on a public forum.
Yes, sir. The social network
Yes.
movie. Yes, sir.
The movie has come very late, but this is a legendary story in Harvard.
Yes, sir.
That is how he started Facebook.
Yes, sir.
Now, so he started it in a different way, and then it morphed into many ways, and it is where it is. So it starts like that in some way. In my case, Dailyhunt, I was working with telecom operators, and I have seen that most of the customers of telecom were non-English people.
Yes.
If I was not in the telecom sector, I would assume India is all about boardroom, English-speaking people. Only English-speaking people have right of access to internet. And I realized that the Bharat they consume local language. So I started by selling SMS packs for giving alerts of local language news in Hindi, in Malayalam, in Tamil. As simple as that, right?
Yes.
And then when Android ecosystem came, we pivoted to making an app. So in my mind, it's a big journey, but you need to start somewhere.
Yes, sir.
And that starting point, each person has his own experience and has his own, karma for the starting point.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Just before somebody else asks the question, I also want to ask a question. What's the meaning of verse?
The meaning of verse was vertical search. That's how we started.
Okay.
Where we were collating, let's say, jobs from offline and online, sources, and then we were doing a vertical search of job, of property, of matrimony, of news, and so on and so forth. So I mean, it was a vertical search engine which we made.
Okay. Any participant have any question? So the important thing is that still I have in my mind this the question of Virendra, how courage is built up. Again, Himanshu has very valid question, how idea can be generated, how mind blocks can be removed. And these are the very basic questions we need to address these questions, and then only we can go ahead.
Yes.
So for all, we have to have a different type of mental setup. And what Viru has said right from earlier, he has designed this interaction also in a different mode of delivery. And we have seen that he is always different right from his college days. We try to do something different. So any question, we have that email ID also, virendra.gupta@verse.in. Participants, you may ask any other question. If you have any more questions, then will be so. Viru, I think you have a meeting at. Yeah, please.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, Rahul, I think looks like, I think, no more questions. So happy to tell me, happy to do whatever you want me to do. I mean, so.
Yeah, this is how to get rid of fear of failure.
See, the only way to get fear of failure is to go through failure. If you don't go through it, you will never know whether it's fear or it's joyful. And mind you, it's the failure challenges you so nicely, and it's like a war you are having with somebody, and you want to overcome that war, right? So every failure or every fear of failure helps you grow. It takes you out of your comfort zone, and in my mind, that's the biggest thing, because we are so comfortable with whatever we are doing and whatever we have that we think that's the be all and end all. But when you have an enemy or a fear or a failure who's challenging you, then you grow up. And why is there a fear of failure? Because you're a lightweight boxer trying to challenge a midweight boxer. A midweight boxer is trying to challenge a heavyweight boxer, because you are trying to grow up and you're trying to create something which is very different, right? So in my mind, it's the most beautiful thing. It's like a journey to the space. You know nothing, but you got to keep afloat.
I want to add that failure, it's a very beautiful term, and acceptance of failure, like if I relate with college days, that if you accepted that you are going to have a back paper, you don't have fear.
Yeah.
So acceptance of the failure, that if you are just challenging something big, you should accept that yes, there are 99% chances I will fail, but still I will enjoy this journey.
Yeah.
Until unless you don't plan to enjoy that journey, you will always have fear of failure.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes, yes.
So there is a
I
question
want to ask.
about, we responded on the failure. There's a question on engineering market is infrastructure. I mean, it's very difficult for me to answer that question. But in my view, if you have an internet line and if you have a computer machine, I think no other infrastructure matters, right? And toolkits are available. You can order. I mean, the home deliveries of toolkits can happen. So look, I mean, this is a broader question to your management, but in my mind, there could be cheaper ways to. If you don't have large funds, there could be cheaper ways to do things, so please do those things because please inspire the students to do those things.
Hello.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah.
In developed countries, people are ready to accept changes. That means it is easy for the developer or for a startup to promote their products. But in India, they are not that ready to change the. Sorry, don't ready. They are not ready to see the change or accept the change. If you go with a new product to some person and we offer him to use it once, then he will just refuse to use it. Okay, so what should we take care when developing product in Indian scenario?
I think India is changing. India is changing a lot. I think you should be happy. So it has both sides. In developed world, you will also face a lot of smart people.
Sir.
Correct. So now and you will have more, and the customers are also very finicky. In developed world, you try selling something which doesn't work, they will go and kill you, and they'll put a case on you. I'm saying you are very lucky to be in India because your customer is very forgiving. So नहीं चला सर, नहीं चला कोई बात नहीं सर, कोई केस वेस नहीं होगा. Correct.
Sir.
And so of course their paying capacity is less, but it's a very forgiving market.
Yes, sir.
Right. And the people are changing and you don't have a lot of competition, right? So make most use of this time. I mean, this is the best time for Indian entrepreneurs and Indian product creators. This time didn't come before, and the time after this will become very, very competitive.
Exactly, sir.
Viru, you had a very different type of statement that product development, this is less business of science, but more with the psycho related activities.
Yeah.
So just explain that also.
See, typically, Thomas Edison created, he created a bulb or invented electricity or bulb, correct? But he was not the guy who created distribution companies of electricity. You know what I'm saying? Does anybody know who invented the internet? But people will say Google, they will know Google, Facebook, they will know, Steve Jobs, Apple, they will know so and so forth, right? So nobody knows. I mean, very few people know who invented internet. I mean, look at what US has done with yoga. Yoga was developed in India. You guys agree? Right? And now you see, I mean, yoga is being sold like hotcakes in US. They package it well. So product development, I mean, we confuse product development with invention. So don't confuse product development with invention. I mean, that's the only point I'm trying to say.
Yeah. So we end up this session. Participants, if you have any question, just 2 more questions. Okay, it's really very good session, very good time with you. where you discuss with characters of a product development person, the ecosystem that is really getting changed, and that what the simple view for product development, how more and more iterations can help us out.
Correct.
So this was very important, and very good questions also. There was a question idea generation. I can say that sit for a cup of tea and you have ideas. I would like to explain that you should be having a stress-free mind. That is more important. The free mind or stress-free mind or fearfulness should not be there. So if you don't have stress, you have a free mind, you can have different sort of ideas, and you can have the courage with your experiences, and definitely we can go for some good solutions to the society. Ultimate goal is to provide some solutions, provide some convenience to society or industry.
Sure.
So thank you, Viru.
Yeah, I'll just
Was
use
a
one
very,
more word here. I'll use one more word,
Yeah.
Rahul. Is they say that, and I'm going to quote Steve Jobs here. He used to say, "Stay foolish, stay hungry." So I mean, if you really want to create products, you have to be foolish, right? In some sense, you have to be crazy, which is what I said, and you have to stay hungry, which means you're never satisfied. You're always hungry. What can I do more? What can I do more? How can I satisfy the customer more? So stay foolish, stay hungry. Difficult to implement, but there it is. But look, Rahul, thank you for inviting me, and I hope I was of some use to
Yeah, it
convey
was
what I
very
feel.
nice interactive session, as absolutely in different way. So we really loved that. We really enjoyed that, and I hope we'll be again having some more sessions in future for college students, for teachers. And thanks. Yesterday you were not here, and I wanted you in that inauguration session also. But anyway, you just spared your time. Thank you, Virendra.
No worries, and I thoroughly enjoyed this, and I'm very, very happy and pleasantly encouraged and motivated to see the participation and the kind of questions. So I'm very, very happy today. I'm very, very motivated to see that, all of you are thinking so much about this, and it's not only a pure theoretical discussion, right? But you guys are trying to, change world and trying to kind of change yourselves and move to the next level. So guys, I mean, very, very thrilled, Rahul, very, very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
So participants, we can see that the Virendra has given us some ideas how to identify that problem, how to go for planning of the product. So that problem identification is very, very important, and that problem identification can be done only with curiosity. We have to involve in the society. We have to interact with the problem. Generally, seen in our families that we tell our kids that don't interact with any problem. You need not to be indulging in social issues. Just study and study and study. So what is the impact because of that attitude we are having? That boy, he's studying in 10th class, 12th class, he is confined to some physics, chemistry, mathematics. Again, he gets admission in some engineering colleges. Again, he is confined with restricted with some books, let's say electronics and communication, some circuit theory or some thermodynamics on that type of. Again, he is not able to interact with the real problem, social issues. So after completion of that, again, BTech program, he's again pushed towards for some MTech or for some job in some good industry, and that pressurous, stressful industry job, or that pursuing that master's course. Again, he is not able to interact with society. So after 22 years, 23 or 24 years, he gets admission in PhD, and the guide asks, just come out with some problem. Just identifies a problem. So how he will come out with some problem? So important is he has to interact, he has to expose himself with the society. He has to identify what's the problem people are facing on the street, or the problem students are facing in the hostel, how the students are having some problem with the understanding sitting at a remote place. So these are the problems one has to face. And unfortunately, as far as our development is concerned, we are developing ourselves, but we are restricting our kids or children or students to face the problem, face the challenges. And if they don't face the, they can't. Yes, courage can only and only be generated with experience. You have to face the problems, and then only you will identify what the problem will come in, what shape, what the problem has its implications, and then only he can realize that situation, he can accept that situation, and that acceptance of that situation will create courage into that boy. So very important, we have to face the situation. Now, once you have the courage, once you accept the situation, you are stress free. Your mind is free. It can have dreams, it can imagine something. And that image, once that imagination starts, you can really develop some idea. You will automatically get some ideas. You know the problem, you have stress free mind, automatically you will have ideas. Arey yaar, tum ye kar lo. We can see that in our college life that we are providing so many solutions to our fellow students in our college, and we can see that even in our rooms, we are sitting with our fellow teachers. We provide so many solutions, and Indians are known to be provide solutions for each and everything. Like if you are not a doctor, if you don't have any doctor in our family, just tell some disease and you'll have hundreds of ideas, hundreds of treatments. So we are able to provide the ideas. Important thing is we need to be courageous. And mental block, mind blocks, these are out of that fear only, and definitely we can go forward. So empathetic, that feeling for the society, to interact, to identify the problem, and then we can move ahead with this product development. So any other suggestions? We have some more time. You can discuss, or you can give your questions. Yes.
There was a question, what is the reason for the startup failures? And as sir told, and Virendra sir even he told that 99% of the startups fail. Okay, so one very important thing, and that should be kept, is the momentum. Okay, and consistency. Okay, suppose your idea fails, then you need to study why it failed. Okay, and after that analysis, you must implement the solutions. Okay, or you need to change the way you are implementing the things. There may be mismanagement, there may be some lack in your product. Okay, there may be some problem in marketing. You may not be managing things financially well. Okay, so you need to analyze those things, and that is the only way of learning and growing. Every successful entrepreneur you see is not their accidental success. And they have faced lots of problems, and after that you see the outcome. Okay, so consistency is the most important thing. You must be passionate about the things. I have an example of a YouTuber, uh, and I think you all know him, Kerry Minati. He started very early, okay, but he was passionate about it, and he dropped his studies for that. But now he is a famous YouTuber, and he don't need to search for jobs, I think. Okay, so he met with Tom Cruise also, and he took his interview. So he reached that level on his own. Why? Because he was passionate. He tried different things, and he just kept to the patience. Okay, so you need to be passionate as well as consistent about your idea and your startup. Okay, you need to change the things and you need to analyze when there is a failure. Okay, so I think that is the important aspect to consider. Thank you.
Yes, it's very true. One more thing I want to add that this courage is very important word. But what exactly this courage is? There is nothing in our mind or in our psychology we can just put that inside that mind or just we can throw it out of that mind. This is actually that absence or availability of enjoyment for some work. Like a boy, a kid, small kid, 1 year, 2 year old. He enjoys that process. He is not worried about how he will fall down, what the injury he is going to have, but he is only and only concerned for enjoyment. And that same enjoyment feeling you have to create, that I am doing something, I'm not doing for somebody else, it is only for me and me, because it is creating enjoyment in me. So that is very important. Once you feel enjoyment with any activity, definitely you will do that. You will do with the best of efforts as well as best of results you will have. So this is all about today's session. So we will be having some time after 1 hour. We will be meeting again for the second session. Second session would be taken by Professor Ranjan Maheshwari. He is professor, senior professor at Rajasthan Technical University. So today we have tried to shift this momentum in a different shape. We try to interact with industry people. Today there are two more sessions. We will be interacting with the senior professors, and tomorrow we will be shifting to some practical aspects. Some our personals will be involving who are doing practical work on product development in laboratory. So it will be slightly in different shape. So I hope everybody is enjoying this program. Yesterday, some of our participants were having that this is more related with mechanical engineering. I am from electronics engineering, and so and so. So it's a different sort of program, and I think you will enjoy that all the, that, all the sessions in different shapes. So see you.
Dr. Naveen Reddy mentioned that maximum failure is because the problems are not well analyzed, and a rush to start at early as possible are some reasons which I found in almost 1 year of survey, discussions with startup managers and their competitors, my findings. Yes, sir, you are absolutely right.
Yeah.
There is a process design thinking which has 5 stages. One thing is empathize, then you ideate, then you make a prototype of that thing, then you test it. Okay, so the design thinking process is a well-structured system by which you get the most innovative product and most useful product. Okay, and not just one loop, it may repeat itself uh, so many times. Okay, by the iterations you get the final solution which is useful, viable, feasible, and every aspect a product should contain, it will have. Okay, so the design thinking process must be done with any product.
Dr. Naveen, you are absolutely right that problems are not analyzed properly, and that is the major reason for failure. And we have seen that most of the time, that problem identification, during the problem identification, we are trying to give solutions. We jump directly to the solution in spite of identifying the problem. So this is very absolutely right. What you have said, that problem need to be defined properly. First, it has to be identified. Then second step is it has to be defined with each and every specification, what the parameter is required, what the situation we require, what the actual situations are there. And then only we can think that how we can provide some solutions. And generally we have some superficial analysis and we directly move to the solutions, just like what I what we can see in our family or in our day-to-day life, that everybody is trying to give you solutions without knowing your problem. You had some less marks, 5, 10, 20 solutions will be there. You are not able to crack that interview. You are having, without understanding what the situation was there, what the problem you have, what the knowledge you have 10 number of solutions, 10 number of suggestions there. So it is very, very important. You have mentioned this very important point. Yes.
And I want to add something. In the process of repeating the stages of design thinking, you after the prototype, you just provide the prototype to the user, and user now use that prototype, and he tells that now this feature is useful and this feature is not useful. This feature must be there. So again you go to the empathize state. Okay, and the loop repeats itself, and this is how the product is developed, and an innovative product is developed. Okay, and one more thing, you should not solve the problem which doesn't exist. Okay, some Bluetooth speaker manufacturer just made a Bluetooth speaker which dispenses salt. When you say that just like Alexa, you please dispense salt, and the Bluetooth speaker dispenses the salt, but it was not needed by the users. Okay, so the wrong problem was solved and the product was a failure. Okay, so we should be clear that we are not solving the wrong problem or the problem which doesn't exist.
Very important. This Dr. Naveen, you have said that product user feedback was missing in many cases. So because this is part of product development. So, like Viru said, that iterations. We have to develop a particular product. We have to go in market. We have to have some user feedbacks. Some initial usefulness should be checked. User feedback should be taken. Again, we have to features which are required by user, that has to be integrated with that product. Again, new model of that product you will have. We can see lot many cars that in their first model that was completely failure, and then that particular model made a very good market. So this is very, very important, and that user feedback and iteration is part of product development. It's not the lab activity. We are actually having some different sort of mind setup, that I am only related with that scientific thing. I can I will just try to make that product, and that product how it is useful, how it will be able to address that public problem, how people will be able to utilize this, how user friendliness or what is the cost. These are not my job. So we are wrong. Everything right from product thinking up to commercialization, final utilization, everything is job of a product developer. We have to understand, we have to accept it, and otherwise we'll not be able to create good product developer as a teacher, and as a startup, as an entrepreneur, we will not be able to good product to the society. So it will be a failure for us, financial, social, but more important, that society is deprived of some good product, good solutions. And you have very rightly said that unless one go through the pain, they can't understand. Yes, very important thing, that you need to understand the problem, then only you can provide solutions. Pain is a very important thing, and not only pain, we have to go through the pain as well as some pleasures also. So how one can feel pleasure, how one can feel that pain of particular situation, and what the product or what the solution. Product doesn't mean some hardware. It may be something a good nicely composed music. It is also a product. So how that can address the situation, how can address that real mental setup of that customer. So that is very important. So Dr. Naveen, it's very true that from first initiation of the product to final commercialization, it takes so many years. It took 3 years. Definitely, you had to put lot many efforts, tough time, some pleasure, some stresses. So all different type of experiences you come across, and you have to enjoy that. Like if you are playing Wimbledon final match and you just think that whether I will win or I will lose, I will lose. So you are not enjoying that moment what the God has given you, that opportunity. You have to entertain its every moment, every feeling, every different aspects of the life. Just like we go in circus and jhula, you can see that big jhula, and we entertain that. We have different sort of feeling. Sometimes we fear, sometimes we enjoy that. So that sort of mental setup we have to develop ourselves. Then only we can make ourselves useful. Then only we can entertain as a product developer. So we will end this session here. Yes. Yes, Dr. Naveen, this COVID has given lot many solutions, not only you, and you are having some difficult time since your daughter, we cannot bear the pain of our kids. We can bear our own pain, but it's really very difficult to bear with children. So it was really an opportunity. COVID, we like what we are using WebEx. Just 1 year back, I was not aware about these type of online platforms, and I used to have a fear. I had fear to come on such type of platforms and to take the classes. So we are developing some different things. Today we are able to interact with people like Virendra. Viru is sitting in Bangalore. You are sitting in somewhere Noida. I am sitting in Bikaner. So lot many we are able to interact. We are able to share the knowledge. So the difficult time, tough time. There is a good quote that sweet are the uses of adversity. Sweet are the uses of adversity. This is, I think, this English writer Shakespeare written that line. That means that until unless you don't face adversities, you cannot have some good memories, and difficult time, adverse time creates either it will be killing you or it will be strengthening you. It will strengthen you. Whatever the strength we have, whatever the courage we have, that is only and only out of adverse conditions. And courage, developing the courage, like Mahatma Gandhi said, that he was a very coward sort of boy during his childhood. So courage is not just going and pushing, just bashing somebody. It's an ongoing process. You have to develop it slowly and slowly. And once you just try to just observe this evolution, you will entertain how you were thinking some days back. Today, what is the courage? What is the feeling you have? So definitely, it gives a very pleasant feeling. So this is all about this session. We end up this session at this point, and we will be meeting again at 10:20. So thank you. It was a nice learning for me also. Thank you very much.